Well, hello, it's me again. It's been a while. Um, I am getting on here because I need to address some issues here. I know I was going to start addressing issues when it came to dealing with Kaiser and dealing with just everything. And if you don't know, I became an amputee back in 2019, and it was by choice. Um, it was because back in 2002, when I was 21, a drunk driver hit me head on in a car and we survived. And unfortunately, he didn't, but he didn't have any insurance. He didn't have a license and he um, shouldn't have been here. Let's just say that. So he passed away and left me with all my bills and my attorney fee because I ended up having to sue our insurance. That's how uninsured motorist works. So we sued our own insurance and we got about 100,000. Long story short, attorney got their third, and then the Kaiser Medical got their medical payback, and I got a very little and a permanent disability, which at the time I didn't want to get amputated because I felt that um, maybe over years that they would have different advancements in ankles. But they don't, it's just pasting you together, and that's what they did. They put me together. I didn't walk for a year. Took two more years, I think, beyond that, or 2 years total to drive. So, fast forward from there to now, to 2019. That's a long gap in time, but I was having a lot of pain, increased pain, because I had been on opioid pain medicine since then. So I'm kind of one of those cases of people that um, can take medicine, pain medicine, and it just takes enough off the edge just of the pain, and I don't really get the effects of the medicine high or anything like that. So I was very fortunate for that. So I've been on it for a long time. And granted, I wanted to try to get off of medicine when I had the amputation because I thought, okay, we can get the amputation and I have a 50-50 chance at it taking care of my pain and taking care and giving me more mobility. So that didn't happen. I got the mobility, but not without the same pain. So I got the phantom pain. Everything's still the same. And I got new pain, the neuropathic pain. So I had that done 2019. And then in 2020-ish, no, it was November of 2020. No, 2019. Actually, I got the amputation back in 2018. I'm sorry. So it was 2019. Sorry. And then it was the summer 2019. We go to November 2019. So just, a little bit of time. And I needed to have a revision. And the revision was supposed to be because I had atrophied so much that my legs just were not working. And I hadn't even gotten a permanent leg at this point. So my legs weren't working, and I needed to get, they were going to pull the muscle up. They call it reconstructive. So they pull the muscle up over the bottom of your bone and attach it to the bone to secure it and anchor it on, and then, kind of sew you back up. And it's supposed to give you all that padding that you need and security. So in Kaiser, the only way to do that, you have to see what they call a plastic surgeon. They don't, nobody else can do this but a plastic surgeon. And at Kaiser here, Kaiser Northwest, there's only one doctor in the plastic surgery field that does this type of surgery. At least that's what I was told. And so I won't name the doctor, but set up to do the surgery. So I had the surgery done on November 8th. And I went in, was just a day's surgery. And now it was supposed to be granted an overnight, and it was ended up being just a day surgery. So we had set up for me to, stay overnight. They were like, oh, no, no. So went in and had my day surgery done. And then it was the 10 days after they put in a drain tube. And so the drain tube was put in on the backside of my leg. And so it was like 10 days after they take the drain tube out. And no sooner than the drain tube came out, I started having a lot of discharge in the spot where the drain tube was at and throughout some of the incision. And he had just stitched me up then. And it was not just blood, but it looked kind of like milky blood. But it wasn't like per se pus. But it ended up being pus. But and so the doctor just kept telling me everything's fine. He didn't see me at that time. He just kind of saw me on the video. And since I wasn't running a fever, now this is going to be kind of like the story here. I wasn't running a fever, so since I didn't have a fever, oh, and sorry about this. I have been having a lot of sweats, and in the sweating, I am waking up with this from sweating, so I don't know, it's just right here in the front, nowhere else. So, nowhere else. And pardon my bloating on my face, this is right here. You can see this is all from, instead of on this side so much, but it's on both sides. You can see the difference. This is from my heart. So, this is a whole new thing too. So, you're going to learn about that too. And you'll know from my old videos to this, the difference just in my face. My body has not changed. In fact, I've lost weight, but this is different. So you'll look. So I go in, and so I talk to him. He's not concerned. His nurse is not concerned. I'm calling here all the time, and I'm sending photos. I even have videos, and I can upload the videos. I think I put a couple on here, but I had videos. So finally, on Thanksgiving Day, I call up with my husband's persistence, call up and tell the doctor. And so they said, well, if you're thinking it's an infection, you might as well just go to the ER and have them check it out. So we call up and we get it kind of pre-done here at Kaiser up at Sunnyside and go into the ER. So the ER was dead. I am the only person coming into the ER. I thought it would be busy, but it's not. And they have 2 people out front who are supposed to check you for COVID and, the symptoms, fever and everything. And then you have your check-in person in the ER. Okay. So your receptionist. So I get through, and I'm in a wheelchair, and my leg is bleeding because it has just now decided to just almost bust open all the incision and just start bleeding and pussing everywhere. But it wasn't so much pus, like I was saying. It looked different, but it was pus. And it had to have been some sort of, I don't know what it is, but some white, hard white stuff was coming out of the leg as well, and the incision. And so I don't know if it is, calcium or something like that. I don't quite know, but something kept coming out. So, it was really weird. They were white, they were hard. Even the people there didn't know what they were because you could kind of squish them. The doctor took some samples and just kind of walked out of the room. Nobody told me what they were. I still to this day, I couldn't even reference them online. So if somebody knows what could come out of an incision, and it's trying to heal. So I have something, I think it's something that's trying to heal, but I don't quite know. So anyway, so we're going to Kaiser. And I get past the people with the COVID, and I'm sitting there in the front. And so the receptionist checks me in, and then I'm just sitting there. My husband's he's out in the car. They weren't even allowing him to come in. So I'm sitting there waiting. The receptionist goes to the front because somebody brought everybody some Thanksgiving food, and they're not wearing masks or anything, and they're coming in and they're giving hugs and kisses, and these are the people that just touched me are hugging and kissing on people coming in, not wearing masks, and they're eating food out there, and so is the receptionist. But I got chastised to change my mask from a mask that I like to wear that fit me better and to wearing one of the disposable ones. So I'm only complaining because of the actions of these people and what they did. So they're sitting there. I timed it. It's 5 minutes. I see my husband kind of flashing the lights because, the disabled parking is right up front there. And I start screaming, for somebody. And the lady finally comes in and she's like, "Oh, nobody came and got you?" And I was like, "No, nobody came and got me." And so she puts the wristband on me, and then she finally does her job and tells somebody that I'm sitting out here. So that was just horrible to start off with, with the way I'm feeling. So, and I still never ran a fever. I never ran a fever the entire time, but I go in there and the doctor cleans out. He says, "Oh my gosh, we need to do a washout," because he was a doctor on call. So he puts me in emergency surgery and he does what he calls a washout. And so he opens it up, cleans it out, washes it out. He doesn't do a culture at this time. And so when he does that, he just sews me back up. And he was going to send me home. And my husband's like, bull crap. You're going to keep her overnight and you're going to monitor her and you're going to make sure that she's doing okay. So we do that. And I stay the night. And then the next day, have to go home. Told my husband, go home. You're not going to get me. You'll just come get me later on the next day. So he does. Come home, and this time sorry, I'm holding this. This time my discharge, my drain tube is in the front. And he's all like, "Oh, I didn't see anything. You had just a little bit of an infection in there going. Nothing major. I cleaned out the infection, got it all. And I put the drain tube in a better spot this time that will get everything." He thought it was the drain tube. And so we're like, "Oh, okay, go home and do this." So it starts back up the same way. After they take the drain tube out, I started having drainage again. This time, not just the area from which the incision was. It's the back side, not the front side. When they took the drain tube out, the backside drain tube started draining out the same type of stuff again. I'm telling him this, and he is just in disbelief. "You're not running a fever, Rebecca. Everything looked good. I got everything out. There is absolutely nothing in there, and there is no possible way that you're going to have another infection. I cleaned it out. I'm so good." He's like the best doctor in the world, and his shit don't stink, part of my language. That's kind of the way he acted. And he acted like, I'm stupid. I don't know the way I'm feeling, and that he knows, but he doesn't. This is plain as day. He does not know. So, so we go and complain. I go above his head. I asked, the head of the department over his head to get me in to see a second opinion, because I have to keep with Kaiser. Kaiser already denied me trying to see an outside plastic surgeon for a second opinion. I need to have a second opinion done in-house. So she gets me in with his colleague who could, see me and adjust it. And not adjust it, but, check, give me my second opinion. I go in, and this is at like the end of January. So I've been complaining this whole time. And since the end of January, I'm in. My daughter comes with me, and she told me already that it looked like I had MRSA on my leg, because she has had MRSA, but she's had it like in her eye area. But she said it looked like I had MRSA on my leg. And I was like, okay, so we need to say something to the doctor. So we go in there and ask for a second opinion. He's just like, "I can clean it out for you." So he does clean out, and he uses like that whatever it is, that nitrate thing or whatever that you could kind of like stick in your leg, and it like, or silver stuff is what it is. And, to try to stop the bleeding, and he just kind of cleans it up, and then he just like bandages it, and she's gonna send me home. And she brings up the MRSA, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I kind of thought that you had MRSA." And she's like, "Okay, so are you gonna give my mom some medicine?" He's like, yeah, I'll give her medicine. And then I'm like, I've asked, let's get a CT scan and check this out because I'd like to see how things are going, so can I do that? And he's like, yeah, we'll get a CT scan. I could do that for you. So I go in for my CT scan in February. And what my CT scan shows, and this is in Kaiser, and they said that it shows that it looks like I have, they didn't say anything about the MRSA, obviously, but it looks like I had osteomyelitis. At that time, this is in February, sorry. So I mentioned that to the doctor. I get a hold of that doctor. He would not, it took me like 2 weeks to get him to review this CT scan with me because I'm seeing what it's saying, and he's like, he totally diffused everything. I'm like, so can you talk about this? It's saying osteomyelitis, and he's like, well, I can tell you that I'm not going to help you with that. You need to see your original doctor because we don't clean up other doctors' messes and surgeries. And I recorded him. And then he also said that he would only be able to help me with the wound care, but he wouldn't help me with anything else. So I need to see the other doctor to clean up his mess. So I'm like, okay, so this was kind of wasted, but it wasn't because it was good. I got my CT scan and then whatever for MRSA, but it ended up not doing anything. So you'll hear. So I go to my doctor. I say this to him, and he's like, "Oh no, these radiologists, they don't always know what they're talking about. I didn't see anything. There's no osteomyelitis. There's nothing in there. And as for MRSA, I didn't see no MRSA. So you don't have MRSA." And this goes on for a while, and then I go in there again, and he went in and he does another clean out. He calls it a courtesy clean out. Granted, he's going to do surgeries because he's going to make money, but he does a courtesy one, because I am, like complaining about this. We go and we do this, and then so this is like my third surgery with him. So he goes and he's like, 45 minutes is all this surgery took, and it was supposed to be a 2-hour surgery. And all he does is he just opens it up. He looks, he kind of cleans it up. He looks, but he's not in the area where the osteomyelitis was showing up. And he claims is that what they're seeing is the old anchors, because apparently he had to drill twice in my leg. He had to leave the old anchors in, and they were clear plastic anchors. And then that's what they were seeing. But osteomyelitis was running like up and down the bone. It wasn't going like this way. So it was running vertical. And so he was all, that's what they're seeing. That's what they're seeing. Because I don't see anything, So he cleans me up. And at that time, they did do a culture. And they saw that I did have the MRSA. And so he gives me another round of antibiotics at that time. And they also put a wound vac on me. So I had to come home with the wound vac, which is fine. And that was supposed to help heal it up. So he kept calling me a non-healer. But I can tell you, with my first surgery, I'm not a non-healer. I was healed up, lickety-split, and I was like ready for a permanent leg. But then I had to have this surgery within a 4-month period. So I heal really quick. This is dragging and dragging and dragging for months and months and months. So I go in and we're doing this, letting them do their thing, going through the motions with them doing the wound vac. It's not helping. It's not healing. Take the wound vac off because it's really not doing too much. And then so after we do that, we go ahead and do the wound vac. And then so I was able to get a prior authorization for me to start seeing a wound clinic outside of Kaiser. So I was able to do that. So I see a wound clinic outside of Kaiser. And then from seeing this wound clinic, they do another scan on me. They do an MRI. And they do more tests. And they're like, you do have osteomyelitis. It's like Raina's day. They compared the MRI to the CT. It's in the same area. In fact, it's spread up higher, and you have MRSA. And so they're treating it like, gloves on, mask on, everything, because MRSA is highly contagious. And she was prior to doing this, I'm just kind of speeding it up. She was trying to just heal me up, but she can't heal me up when you have the infection. So she gets a hold of infectious disease at Kaiser and tells them that this is osteomyelitis and MRSA, and she needs to get in. They confirm. They're like, oh crap, how long has this been going on? She gave them, piece of her mind, and she was the greatest doctor ever. And so I go into Salem Hospital, and I spend 10 days there over this summer. And then I go to Kaiser, transfer over to Kaiser, to see Kaiser didn't have room for me at the time. So they start the injections, or, the IV, permanent IV drip at Salem, transfer me to Kaiser, and I spent 50 days at Kaiser. And so a total of 60 days of my life over the summer was spent in the hospital getting rid of this infection and going from a below the knee amputation to an above the knee, because this doctor refused to deal with me, refused to believe me, and just refused to acknowledge that I had the osteomyelitis. And it had been there from almost damn near the beginning. So I had 3 surgeries over the summer, 2 for exploratory, 1 for the doctor who was the head of podiatry, and he's like, I can't save your knee. The osteomyelitis spread so far up your leg because it had been there for so long that I had to lose my knee. So I had to end up losing my knee. Kaiser, they were all helpful and apologetic when we were there. I fell through the cracks. That's what I was told. I fell through the cracks. It shouldn't have happened. Regardless if you had a fever or not, you should have been helped and all that. So it never panned out that way. I never got the help that I really, really needed prior to losing my knee. So now I'm an above the knee amputee. And so, granted, this entire time I'm not able to do too much, walking at all. All I'm able to do, sorry, my dog wants to get there. So all I'm able to do is just hop around on one leg in either a wheelchair or walker or scooter. And so my husband's work had been paying for a caregiver, because when I came home, I need help. So I've had to have a caregiver, and I don't get out of the house very much and do too terribly much. So and Kaiser should be paying for that, and so should anybody else. So should the care. Okay, so don't ever use a. Okay, there's a caregiving service. I'm not going to say too terribly much, but they like to pride themselves on good patients. But their caregivers, granted, could be nice, but ended up screwing me over by leaving me high and dry. Because, they're getting bored or whatever. I don't know what it is. But, yeah. So I just got left high and dry from my caregiver. So I am getting another caregiver. But, it's been just nuts. This entire thing has been nuts. And Kaiser has to be held accountable, because, there's no real reason for what happened, The doctor did not have to be so passive and so blinded, because even when I was in the hospital having these surgeries for the osteomyelitis, he even sent me a text telling me that the MRIs that I had, he wanted to have another one done at Kaiser, because, with his people looking at it, because he didn't feel it was osteomyelitis still, even though I had the head of podiatry look at me and say, I got to take your leg. I'm sorry. You got osteomyelitis. It's bad. So that kind of shows me where his head was, and that he kind of thinks his poo-poo doesn't, stink. So, and while I was in there, I developed sleep apnea, and I'm in congestive heart failure now. So I don't know what triggered this. I never had any heart issues prior, but now I have non-congestive heart failure, and I didn't have any apnea issues, and now I can't sleep. I have central apnea. So now I'm, my brain's telling my heart, or my lungs to not breathe. So I had these issues that arrived only after the third surgery. And that same thing was kind of the same time where I got my COVID shot. So, I even put it, maybe it was a COVID shot, maybe it was a vaccine, I don't really know. But all I know is that now I come home with more issues, a whole lot more issues than I went into the hospital with. So, it has just been, terrible. So this is kind of my plight. And it needs to get out there. It needs to be told. Not just dealing with being an amputee, which is hard in itself, but being an amputee, not, and not getting the help or assistance. Your medical doesn't want to cover certain things. And we are so far away from Kaiser. We're an hour and a half drive. So I try to get as much done closer, but they fight me tooth and nail because it's stuff that could be covered in Kaiser because they have the ability to do it there. And if they would just work with me and be like, hey, yeah, you could see your heart doctor out here instead of having to, drive an hour and a half and an hour and a half home. And yeah, you can't drive, so now you're going to have to find somebody to drive you to your appointments. But we want to make it as difficult as possible as we can for you, and just deny everything. And, it's ridiculous and it's stupid, with what they put me through. And they took my knee, a perfectly good knee, before going in this. And I didn't have any issues prior. So, I don't know. It's just me complaining more. So, and more just to get it out, if other people have had that, have that happen and have had, these kind of issues with their insurances, it's just, what are you doing? What can you do? What can be said? What can be done? Because it shouldn't be this way. You shouldn't be treated this way. And doctors should not be able to play God with your life. And they do every time you do go in, and you're dealing with them. But you're also putting your faith and your trust in them. And that you're putting your faith and trust that, they're telling you, when the doctor tells me that he didn't think it was osteomyelitis in the beginning, I believed him. He tells me, he opens up my leg, he looks at it, I believed him. I lost faith in him when this thing drags out over a year and I'm still not walking. I just got a leg and I have already atrophied already. I can't even wear that. So it's going to be almost 2 years to be able to walk. All because of one doctor's, inability to bend, to stop and listen to me and to just be like, hey, yeah, you know what? You're right. Maybe I need to, take a second look at this or consult somebody else to look at this. And maybe I should have thought things differently. But it's just, if I wanted anything ever, again, another revision, I'd have to go see him. And so here's another thing. Kaiser should be able to you know what? Yeah, let's hire some more doctors. I could do this. Or let's allow Rebecca to go outside of Kaiser to get her revision next time. Let me go to this Salem hospital. You cover it. I'm going to go there. Because I'd be damned if I'm going to go see that doctor. He is not going to look at my medical record or touch me with a 10-foot pole. If I see him, I am liable to try to just knock him out or throw chocolate at him. Because I am so mad with him. So, that's kind of it. I just wanted to get this out. Say it. Like it, share it. Leave messages. Talk about it. Tell me where I can go to talk and maybe get some help. I need some help. I need to see what can be done. So, yeah. So have a great day and hope everything goes good in your world.